Hey there, art nerds. You know, it wouldn't be me if from time to time I didn't review something fun and dumb and cheap to share with you guys. So both of these are from 5Below. I have actually seen the ads for this cat for like 2 months now and could not find it at the two 5Belows in my area, but I found that and this at the Gonzalez 5Below and I just could not resist. So this is an Art 101 art tin, and it's just very cute. Do I expect it to be good? Not really. And then the cat watercolor set is same kind of thing. I don't expect it to be particularly good. I do think it's very cute. I will probably gut it, but it is a 36 count watercolor paint set with 1 palette, 1 brush, and 36 watercolor cakes in this very, very cute kitty cat face. So if we were doing a live stream, I would ask which one you guys wanted to see me open first, but unfortunately this is pre-recorded, so I cannot ask, I cannot get your feedback. So instead I will just roll initiative and start with the art tin. It has 2 tape dots on the back. I'm gonna try to slide that off. And look, to be real, the tin itself is adorable. This is probably going to see another life as a watercolor palette. So inside we have 2 little things we can paint. We have citrus and more citrus, very cute. The paper is mediocre, but it's fairly sturdy. And then we have our little paints. We do not have any kind of painting instructions, painting advice, none of that. So we kind of have this to use as our guide. And it does look like there are, like this here is just a duplicate. I guess they duplicated colors that we might use a lot. I don't know. We will come back to this in a moment. Let us, I know this is what you guys are the most excited about. Let's open up that cat. Had a belly band. It is also plastic wrapped. Now, if you are new here, hi, hello, welcome. I'm Becca Hilburn. I am a watercolor artist, illustrator, and watercolor reviewer, and I have reviewed a lot, so many budget art supplies on the channel over the years, including things from 5Below. So if you enjoy these kind of videos, make sure you check the description below and check the cards because I will link more of them for you to enjoy. Let's move that out of the way. Y'all ready for the reveal? Okay. Okay. All right. It is somehow, it is Schrodinger's cat. It is simultaneously better than I expected and worse than I expected. But I figure I will get $5 worth of enjoyment out of this. And once I am done swatching these for you guys, I'm going to pry them out and actually clean this out and use this as a watercolor palette. So, you know, pretty cute. It's actually really cute. It's very cute. I guess you could use this as a mixing surface. I think it's more just for structural support. And the brush is laughably bad. So if you are old here, hi, welcome back. It is so good to see you. I missed you. I hope you enjoy these 5Below videos. I don't know how many of them I'm going to do because I kind of have like reviewed the gamut of what 5Below has to offer, but every now and then they come up with something that I just cannot resist sharing with you guys. Now, if you guys are looking for nicer watercolors than these, whether it's student grade or professional grade, I review those as well. Please check out my student grade showdown if you're looking for affordable watercolors for beginner artists, or if you're looking for nicer watercolors that'll stand the test of time, check out my professional grade watercolor review series. If you are looking for watercolor tutorials, I've got you covered as well. I have a watercolor crash course to help you get started with watercolor, and I also have loads of accessible project-based tutorials in my Stash Buster series, which is about using scraps of watercolor paper to make watercolor bookmarks, as well as my Start to Finish series, where I take you from the blank page to the finished watercolor illustration, including drawing. And with the second one, my wonderful, amazing patrons actually have printable line art. So if you don't feel like drawing, you just want to paint along, you can join me at patreon.com/natosoup. So when it comes to my watercolor reviews, I usually will use Blick Cotton Rag watercolor paper or Arches paper, but you know what? We're going to use something else. We're going to use Canson XL watercolor paper, which I actually happen to like and use it pretty frequently. So it's not a bad student grade paper, and I feel like it's a pretty fitting audience for this paint. You know, I feel like these two probably go together. I do have a 5Below watercolor pad somewhere that would be so much more fitting, but it is somewhere and it is not right here, and I want to do this right now. To our right, we have exceedingly dry chiclet style watercolors. They're going to be oh so chalky. I have reviewed so many like this. I don't love them, but you know, I do want to be able to actually utilize this palette, and I don't want to just chuck the watercolors until we've had a chance to swatch them. I will spritz them. Do I think that is going to do anything for anybody? No, not really, but it makes me feel good. One of these days, I know in my heart, I need to do a good faith effort to try and paint something with this kind of watercolor. It will not be today though, friends. I'm not even going to bother with the white. It's probably going to be the least impressive white ever. And I am going to do it row by row. Now you might be wondering, and rightfully so, Becca, why would you review something that you know you're not going to like? Why would you spend money on an art supply that you know will probably be terrible? And, you know, I thought life was too short for hating. You are correct. Life is entirely too short for hating. So let me walk you through this. One, I don't hate everything that 5Below has. I actually think some of their art supplies are a lot of fun or worth the price or a great place for someone who's on a budget and a beginner to start. I don't think if you are new to art that you should, you know, break your budget to pursue it. Also, I teach younger artists in addition to adult artists, and I like to be familiar with the kind of art supplies that they're going to have access to, that their parents might be able to be willing to spend money on, or might be able to spend money on, because let's face it, everybody's broke, and art supplies are kind of a luxury, unless you're an artist, and then you know you need them to live. So I like to also be aware of what is available, what is affordable, and what is accessible for artists at various ages, and that does mean buying things from Dollar Tree and 5Below. Also though, I thought this could be a fun video, like, okay, we can snark a little on the paints, which are admittedly not good. There are good cheap paints, although for $5 you are going to be hard pressed to find good cheap paints. But anyway, I like to know what's out there. I like to be able to talk about what's out there, and I thought we could have fun with this together today. You know, something just kind of relaxing, a nice little palette cleanse. And every now and then, when I'm reviewing cheap art supplies, I find a diamond in the rough, and I want to be able to share that with you guys. And the only way I can do that is to take a risk, spend $5, $10, and try some new things. Now, these are bad, but they're also kind of fun. I think if you go into it knowing they're going to be bad with poor color saturation and weird granulation pollution and just like a whole slew of problems. I think you could have fun with it, but I also wanted to gut this palette. I thought it was so cute, and I wanted to gut it with some paints that I'm gonna like a little bit better. So I did actually have kind of an in plan for this palette. But I also think that art should be for everyone. And while I do like to poke fun at, you know, not great budget art supplies, that's kind of for two reasons. One, a lot of people just don't know what's a good art supply, what isn't a good art supply. So in order to show people that sometimes spending more money is worth it, I have to show them why the cheap stuff may not be a good fit for them. It may be a waste of money. It may just end up in the garbage. So part of why I will buy inexpensive art supplies like this is to help, if me buying one keeps 5 or 10 people from buying any, well, that's 5 or 10 of these that are not going to end up in the landfill. So that also has, I think, a net positive effect. Like if your curiosity itch can get scratched by some woman on YouTube, you know, opening these up, showing you the colors and painting some flowers with them, then that's, you know, that's good too. I'm definitely a curious person. I am nosy. I want to know, you know, is it any good? Is it worth my money? Am I going to enjoy it or am I going to hate it? And, you know, somebody else scratching the itch for me, that sometimes does the trick. I don't have to spend that money. So hopefully this serves a few purposes. It shows you whether or not maybe you do like these. Maybe you're like, I love that kitty palette, and you're gonna buy it anyway. All right, good for you. Maybe though you're like, you know, the kitty cat's really cute, but I think I'm gonna save my money, or I think I'm gonna get their alcohol markers instead, which are actually better than these by a good amount. They actually handle kind of like, I mean, they're real alcohol markers. They're just, the build quality is kind of crummy. You know, maybe you'll decide to spend your money on something else, some candy instead, something that you're going to get more enjoyment out of. And that's good too. But also, to be just very YouTubey, people like these kind of videos. And I like to make things that people like to watch on occasion, as long as they are, you know, within my own little special interests. And watercolor is definitely one of my little special interests. So that's another reason why, even if I suspect an art supply is not going to be the best, I might decide to take it home. You know, professional curiosity, want to talk about it with my students. Sometimes I'm wrong, and something like this turns out to be a lot of fun. And it might help somebody not spend money they don't really have on something that's going to make them unhappy. It's definitely one of the worst. Not the worst, because I can actually reuse this packaging, but it is up there with one of the worst. That said, had fun hanging out with you guys, had fun swatching these, had fun painting some irises and some sorrel and some little white yard flowers. Would I recommend this? You know, not even, I think even Crayola watercolors, if you get the educational ones, are going to be, or praying. I would recommend praying over these, and I actually have some praying that I need to talk about with you guys in the near future. I think you'd be a lot happier with those than with this, but I wanted to show it. I think the kitty cat is super cute, and I thought it would be fun to do some like just real no stakes painting. It is time now to dive into the art tin. I did actually grab some additional brushes because, let's be real, their brushes look terrible. I think Art 101 is sold at Michaels too. They do actually kind of credit the creator, Elisa Solo, Shutterstock image. So honestly, it's cool that this isn't just generative AI. I kind of would have thought that would have been the direction that 5Below would go in. So like, hey y'all, kudos for that. I'm kind of impressed, honestly. I don't think I'm going to do any color mixing, and I'm already going to free these paints from their mortal coil and open them. It looks like we got a lot of the same. Oh my god. So these are even smaller than I thought, which is this is gonna make them really like prone to spilling. Can maybe keep that other one open. And I'm not feeling super creative today, and you know what, that's kind of like the beautiful joy of like art kits, is when you want to do something arty and you're not necessarily, maybe you want to learn a new skill. Oh my gosh, this little pot, I'm gonna spill all over the place. Okay, fine, I won't open you, I'll open the next row. Anyway, you want to do something kind of creative, but you're not really feeling particularly inspired, or you just want to like relax and maybe zone out to like a podcast or something. You don't want to have to think too hard about it. And that's where art kits can be a lot of fun. And you know, usually I don't do art kits because I just don't have, once these are open, you can't actually see the next line. I don't have a lot of free time. So for me, I have a hard time justifying that kind of like relaxation, which is a shame. They can also be a really good way to learn a new skill, especially if the art kit is all inclusive. I did actually buy some kits from Pigment in Japan because I am very interested in learning traditional Nihongo watercolor. So, you know, that can also be a reason to go with an art kit. Oh, these are a little smelly, but they don't smell as bad as I thought they would. And there is no yellow, so it's not like I can do like lemon yellow. Oh, Becca, you should have thought about this. Oh yeah, this is like super mediocre acrylics, and you know what, like that's actually fine. The colors are already mixed. I'm not using their brushes. Maybe I would be having a much better, I don't think I'd be having a much better experience. I feel like I might do better painting with toothpicks, but you know, that is an area I could have tried out. I have just like tested out so many. Oh, these are like totally no coverage, so you can be real sloppy and you won't really hide the line work. I have messed around with so many bad brushes that I just don't have the energy for that anymore. Also, no guarantees that I will finish this. My attention span has been really bad lately, and I'm just not necessarily personally vibing with this. But it's fine. I mean, if you've got some like synthetic brushes laying around that you can use for a small acrylic like this, it could be fun. It could be a fun little art project to do with some friends. It could be like a good way to do like a sip and paint, right? Or like a drink ramune and paint or whatever, and like not have spent a bunch of money on art supplies that you might use maybe one time. The colors don't really match the colors shown, and there's no instructions, so if you are less adventurous as an artist or someone who is diving into art, this might feel a little bit intimidating, but like you spent $5, you know what I mean? Like you spent $5 on it. You're not gonna how can you mess this up? It was $5 and a good time with some friends. So actually, I think going and picking up a few of these to do as like a friend's night in activity could be really fun and cute. And they have a bunch of like cute little, very accessible, inexpensive art kits that you could do that with. So I love that idea. I love people getting into art, discovering art, making art part of their like relaxation or their fun. It doesn't always have to be a hustle. And I say this, you know, as an artist who sells her art, and sometimes making art with the intention or the hope of selling it, it can really kind of sap your creativity. Whereas just doing like a little art kit like this can kind of help you relax, kind of take your mind off of things going on in the world for a little while, because we all need a break. We can't all be on 24/7. And I'm also happy that they're not using generative AI on this. Even a Shutterstock photo taken by a human and then traced is preferable to generative AI. So I am actually kind of happy about that. And you know, like as much smack as I talk sometimes, if 5Below ever wanted to work with me for whatever reason, because I do not have the numbers they are probably looking for, I would do art for them. I would put together kits for them. I would figure out a way to make it work, because I love making art accessible for teenagers, and I think 5Below is the perfect way to do that. So I do, while I make fun, I do actually see the value of really inexpensive, accessible art supplies and mini kits. I understand that, like, you know, there's only so many places that they can cut corners to make these things cheap. And like, quite frankly, a lot of 5Below stuff is super duper cute. So, you know, if you can repurpose the tins for whatever makes your heart sing, I think that has validity too. You know, like, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum or to make anybody feel guilty. Oh, got my finger in it. Guilty or weird about what they like or what they enjoy. That is not my goal. That watercolor kit, I would say only get it if you want to gut it, like I'm going to do. And I mean, for that, you would use tube watercolor paints, because it will not hold half pans, and just squirt the tube watercolors into it and then let it dry. And frankly, even Reeves, is Reeves even still available? Something like that would be an upgrade to the paints that are in it. And that way you could use it as a travel palette and take it with you when you go places. Whereas I think this would be really cute and fun for, like, you know, hanging out with your friends, maybe on like a Friday afternoon or something. And you just want to, like, and I'm being really sloppy because I'm going to go back in and like tighten up those details. But like, you know, you just want to like hang out and chill and do something that, you know, you can chit chat, right? Like I'm chit chatting with you guys. You can chit chat while you're doing it, and it doesn't take up like a bunch of brain space, but it gives you something to do with your hands. And then you can always reuse the little tin. I'm going to put watercolors in it. You can make it into a little mini first aid kit or a little sewing kit. Let me know if you can think of some other cute uses for that little tin, but it's not, I mean, I'm painting and hanging out with you guys, so it's not going to waste. And I also have a plan for the little metal tin. I'm also impressed that like there wasn't a lot of plastic waste with this little tin. There's some for sure, but it's not as bad as like some of the cheap gubbiny kind of things I've seen. So that's also kind of like I would say a step forward. Oh, I'm being so sloppy. That's okay, because I'm just having fun, hanging out with my friends. I don't care. And you could, if there's like leftover paint, if you want to, I mean, you get 2 of these. I'm only going to do 1, but you could use it on other things. You can see it has no coverage. We're not going to get the faux gouache look that they showed us in the demonstration. It is very thin. Oh, okay. All right, I've killed. Time to clean my brush. I've basically killed my brush with that, but that's okay because it's time to switch to a smaller brush anyway, so I can get some of these details in. Okay, I was thinking about my color palette, and I was like, this doesn't really work. And I was like, you know what? I don't really care. It's fine if it doesn't really work. I'm doing such a messy job. But I'm kind of hoping that will inspire some of you guys watching. Okay, I know there's like 3 types out there. Maybe that's a gross generalization, but you have the ones who see me doing something like this and I'm making a real big mess and they're like, oh, I could do that too. And then you have the ones who see me making a big mess and they're like, I could do it better. And then you have the ones see me making a real big mess and they're like, good for her, having fun. So if, you know, me making a mess has inspired any of y'all in any of those ways, I'm good with that. Oh, it's really sloppy. I don't care. I'm just having fun with it. Because I think when it comes to art for funsies, people will put too much pressure on themselves and then they kill all the fun that they could have been having, and it makes art a chore and they feel stressed. And like when I teach art, I really do not want my students overly stressing themselves out. Like it's one thing to want to be better, right? And I get that, and you want to push yourself, but it's another to like totally kill all the joy that art could bring, and then you end up with an anxiety problem and then you hate art. I never want that for y'all, or for me, or for anybody, or especially not my students, because I love them and I want the very best for them. What color do you think I should paint the background? I'm kind of thinking that like medium pink, even though the coverage on this is going to be atrocious. Let's glab it on. This would actually be a lot of fun with acrylic markers. I wonder if 5Below is ever going to dabble in that. I've gotten kind of into them. I think they're really fun. I have a bunch of videos on the channel about acrylic markers. That's not something people are like super interested in from me, and that's okay because I actually like them. I'm not like as you probably can tell from the paint job I'm doing on this, I'm not an acrylic girly. I don't like sitting and painting with acrylic like this. It's just not that fun. This is fun, right? But like it's not something I would normally do. I like painting on things, like I've painted boots, and I love acrylic markers because they're so much easier to use and they're really low mess, and you can actually paint on other things too, so it's kind of like the best of both worlds. It's looking sloppy. I don't really care. And I'm gonna go back in and do the green of the leaves and probably like try to clean up the white on the rinds and stuff, but I don't know how much I care about that. Anyway, I ended up kind of having fun with this, and I don't know if it's because I decided to let myself have fun with it, or because, like, let's be real, I needed to do like just a little bit of like mindless art fun and hang out with you guys, or this would have been a good stream, but I didn't want to hold on to it until I felt well enough to do a stream, because I really, with the way my Sjogren's is, I have no idea what that's going to look like. That's how I have an art supply hoard, is I held on to stuff thinking I would feel better, and now I'm like, okay, well, I got to do the thing. Anyway, you know, who knows? Who knows? I'm not self-aware enough to know what hidden need this is filling, but it's filling a hidden need, so, you know, that's cool. It's very sloppy. I'm good with that. I have ADHD, and I was the ADHD kid who would get fussed at for attention to detail a lot. And it became an anxiety, like a really bad anxiety perfectionist problem for me. And now I'm trying to like roll back, not 100%, but like for something like this where it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody cares. And if you care, like, I don't know, what is going on with you? Why do you care that it has to be perfect? But, you know, I'm trying to also like just go with the flow and kind of relax a little bit more and save my energy for more important fights. so messy. This has no coverage. No coverage, and I'm so sloppy. And if I had used the brushes they included, which would be smaller, it'd be easier to get some of those details, but my thought was like covering large areas would just be super boring and like would cause repetitive wrist strain for me. And I have like other work I want to get done today, so I don't want to like wreck my wrist yet. I actually don't want to wreck my wrist. Can you say that 3 times? Wreck my wrist, wreck my wrist, wreck my... Bleh. Anyway, I don't want to do that. Period. But like, you know, I actually have like work I want to get done besides this, so I wanted to... It looks so bad. I don't care. You know what would salvage it? I'm not even joking. Going back over it with like a black fine liner and adding like some fun line art effects to it would do a lot of good. I don't care because it's not my art. If it was my art, I would be like, I would go fix it, but it's not my art, so I don't care. But I'm having fun with it, even if I'm making a mess. Do you like how I like time-lapsed us working on the swatching the watercolors, and then I made you sit through me yapping at the camera while I do the citrus? But you know what, these are stressful times, and if I can provide like a distraction or like some companionship or some relief, you know, like that's a nice thing that I can do to help other people. And I like being able to do that. So I hope, as messy as this looks, and as much as I probably drove some of y'all crazy with this messy looking thing, I hope like that's what you're taking from this, is like we're hanging out and we're buds, and you know, it was just like kind of a chill afternoon of Becca making ugly art. Really, really, really messy ugly art. But that's kind of freeing, isn't it? When you're like, you know what, it's gonna be ugly and I'm good with that. There's something really freeing, and you can like try different things and experiment. So I think there's a value to ugly art as well. All right, so this is what theirs looks like. This is what mine looks like. I'm not doing the other one. They're very cute. The art is cute. What turned out is, you know, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right, you know. It'll be in my shop for $100. It's all right. Anyway, I had kind of fun with this though. So I actually had a lot of fun trying out these 2 art supplies from 5Below, the little kitty watercolor palette. The watercolors are awful, but I'm gonna gut this. And the little art kit, I actually had a lot of fun with that. Is it great? No, but it's fun. And I think it would make a really fun activity to do as a group. And I enjoyed getting to paint it with you guys, as messy as mine turned out. If you like art supplies from 5Below, or you're just curious about cheap art supplies in general, I have talked about so many of them over the years, and I am planning a trip to the Houston Daiso so that we can have like a different variety of cheap art supplies to talk about. And I have talked about Daiso on the channel in the past. But anyway, I like talking about cheap art supplies sometimes. I know you guys like me talking about cheap art supplies sometimes. I'm so glad that you guys hung out with me today while I talked about these cheap art supplies. I hope it was restful, relaxing. I hope I got a laugh out of you, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you guys again really soon with something like this or another art supply review. And I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful day and a fantastic week. Bye, guys.